जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरवनचारी। यमुना तीरवनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगमयी की यमुनमयी की भक्ति देवी की तुलसी देवी की कलियुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I welcome all the devotees for this second session on Gajendra's episode. This morning we discussed from the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam Gajendra's crisis and his struggle to release himself from the jaws of crocodile, but he failed miserably. And in such a predicament, Gajendra took shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Although Gajendra did not remember the Lord for 1000 years, somehow by the grace of the Lord, Gajendra developed some inspiration to take his shelter. So this is a very profound quality of Krishna, where out of his deep gratitude towards a devotee who did little service, the Lord protects the devotee from the most severe dangers. And that's what Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita also. Neha bhikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Svalpamapyasya dharmasya, even little amount of devotional service done with a sincere heart will ensure one's protection from the most dangerous fears and calamities. And here is Gajendra, who was troubled so intensely and severely by this crocodile, but somehow by Krishna's grace Gajendra could remember some prayer that he has learnt in his past life and could offer that prayer and thus receive the Lord's grace and protection. Now Gajendra is about to offer those prayers. So before we enter these prayers, since last few sessions I could not take many questions, maybe I'll take questions little later. But now I would like to take some quick review and revision of what you could remember in the last session. Now that you have become very tired playing with colors and participating in kirtans, immediately entering some philosophical prayers could be a bit exhausting. So now, can anyone just share some salient points from what you could remember in today's episode? Revision of other episodes we'll do later. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, you were saying that sometimes we want to help, but we don't have the ability to help. Sometimes we have the ability to help, we don't want to help. Sometimes we have the ability to help, we want to help, but we don't have the awareness that the help is needed. But the Lord has
All three.
Awareness and everything that
He has the ability, intention and awareness. He has the capacity, compassion and cognizance. Yeah, we'll discuss a prayer in lines with these 3 points. Any other important lesson that you remember? I saw one hand there. Yes, Prabhu. Jai Nitai, Prabhu. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay,
Hmm?
I can yell.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We take shelter not just by our own efforts, but by Krishna's inspiration.
Even our mood of surrender to Krishna and our attempt to seek shelter of Krishna is also inspired by Krishna. Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted to offer prayers to the Lord when the Lord appeared in front of him. But Dhruva Maharaj could not because he was a 5-year-old child. He did not have the necessary knowledge or vocabulary or poetic skills to offer a prayer to the Lord. So the Lord took his conch shell and touched Dhruva Maharaj's forehead, and entire Vedic knowledge was revealed to him, and he could offer eloquent prayers that we are studying even now. Yes, even taking shelter of Krishna and offering prayers to the Lord has to be blessed by the Lord, sanctioned by the Lord. Anything else? Yes, Mataji.
So Gajendra was very powerful outside the water.
Mm.
He could have done much better there on the land.
Mm.
In water, he was helpless. So maybe at times we can be good at certain things, but doesn't mean we can be good every time.
Just because we are powerful and influential at one place does not mean we are similarly powerful and influential at every place. Okay, anything else? Yes, Mataji. Yeah, whoever.
Calamities remind us we are not the controller.
Calamities. One of the purposes of calamities in a devotee's life is that we can remember that we are not controllers. Yes, Prabhu.
When we are absorbed in something, we will not notice the passage of time and we will not feel exhaustion.
Correct. Whether it is spiritual activity or material activity. You said once already, maybe another devotee. Yeah.
Right, yes. That Krishna never forgets our service. He always remembers, and he shows his gratitude to service through shelter.
Anyone remembers the technical Sanskrit words for this principle? Because Krishna is Sarvagya, he is also Kritagnya. Sarvagya means one who remembers everything. He remembers every small service that we have rendered. And Kritagnya, he is grateful for that service also. Yes, Prabhu.
Devotees uses the serene, favorable environment for doing bhakti, but materialistic persons use the environment for sense gratification.
Sense gratification, correct. Anything else? Yes, Mataji.
People generally remember Lord when they are frustrated by the influence of Maya, which is also arranged by Krishna to shower his mercy upon them. So the frustration, distress.
I'm sorry, I got a cheat, I could not concentrate. Like I get distracted in japa, I got distracted when you are speaking also. Yes, Mataji.
I say people people remember Krishna when they are frustrated, when they are in some kind of trouble, and when they see nowhere else except Krishna. That's the time. But this is also arranged by material energy of the Lord. It is also induced by Krishna himself, so that he can shower the mercy.
Yes. The frustrating experiences in our lives arranged by Maya are opportunities for us to take shelter of Krishna, if we see it from that perspective. So Maya functions in 2 ways, multiple ways, but 2 ways in which Maya functions is, Maya gives us opportunities to pursue our material desires and is wrought in this material existence. But Maya also presents so many obstacles and frustrations in our attempts to enjoy, to make us realize that this is not a right place for us to stay. Okay, anything else? One here, one there. Yes, bro. Gopinath bro.
Sometimes the solution to a problem itself will be a cause for another problem.
Dukkhaushadam tadapi dukkham atadhyaham. So the remedies to a problem could be more problematic than the problem themselves. Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, you mentioned that we are the servant of Krishna, and that is our identity. And that is the problem that when we forgot our identity, and when we come to the association of Vaishnava, we remember our identity.
Correct. Yes, Maharaj also has been emphasizing on this point. Anyone from this side? Yes, Prabhu. Unique point, no repetition, like Radharani. Yeah.
You mentioned that because of this, so many identities. because of our so many identities, we forget our real identity. And one example for this which you gave was childbirth. That when a child is born, one reason why they forget their past life is also because of the attachment they get from the family.
They're absorbed in the current identity, they forget their past lives. Yes. Yes, Mataji.
There are different parts to us, but the best part in us is that one wants to surrender to Krishna. Similarly, Paramatma has different parts, but the best part in Paramatma is that he gives us the inspiration
To come closer to Krishna. Paramatma functions in different ways. Mattaha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Giving remembrance, giving forgetfulness, giving knowledge, even to pursue our own forgotten or pending desires is also activity of Paramatma. But the best part of Paramatma is to direct us to Krishna. Yeah. Dadami buddhi yogam to. Yes, Prabhu. Gopeshwar Prabhu.
I don't know if this was covered earlier, but these three C's: capacity, compassion, and commitment.
Mataji said.
And one more is that even as we may have an intent to get to surrender to Krishna, that inspiration to surrender also comes from Krishna himself. You gave the example of Gajendra.
Correct. Someone covered it. Yes. Anything else? Yes, Mataji.
You said the whole story of Gajendra is the story of Sharanagati. He didn't chant the holy names of the Lord, but he took shelter.
Yes, although he did not specifically chant some name of the Lord like Rama, Krishna, Varaha, Narasimha, Vishnu, Vasudeva, but he glorified the Lord by praising some of his qualities, and the Lord recognized, oh, someone is praising my qualities. All the qualities in his prayer are present in me, therefore I must go and reciprocate. The way he reciprocated with Ajamil and Putana. One last point? Yes, Prabhu. Oh, you already spoke. Yeah.
Krishna, being extremely merciful, looks for any insignificant cause or reason from any living entity to bestow his mercy.
Correct. He is more desperate to give us mercy than we are desperate to receive it. Yes. Anything else? Yes, Sevya. You are not there in the class, right?
I was helping.
Okay.
But you mentioned how a struggling sadhaka should be told millions of times that his true identity is that he is the eternal servant of the servant of Krishna.
Correct. Thank you. Shall we continue? Yes, Prabhu, last.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So you said that even an arti who is in distress, who takes to bhakti for some material purposes, after doing bhakti for some time, the material desires go away and the bhakti remains.
Eventually. It may not happen in everybody's case, but it is quite possible by Krishna's grace. Thank you. So finally, Gajendra took shelter of the Lord, started offering prayers that he has learnt in the past life. Prabhupada writes in the 8th canto, 3rd chapter, beginning purports, especially 2nd purport. One must somehow practice some prayer. Prabhupada says Narasimha mantra, Hare Krishna Maha mantra, and Brahma Samhita prayers. He refers to these prayers. So if we are accustomed to chant some prayers or sing some bhajans, or at least some names of the Lord, if we are accustomed to chant, they will come to our rescue when we are in deepest struggles and problems. So even in next life also they can save us, they can rescue us, just the way Gajendra is protected now. Actually, we discussed a lot about Krishna's gratitude, if you remember. I was quoting that shloka from Uddhava's prayers to Krishna in the 11th canto. Tasmad bhavantam anavadya manantaparam sarvagnamishwaram akuntha vikuntha dhishnyam nirvinna dhiraha muhe vrijinabhitapto narayanam narasakham sharanam prapadye. The Lord is Sarvagna, therefore he is Kritagna. I was making this point primarily. He is grateful, even for little amount of service we do to him. However, when do we become grateful? Analyze yourself. When I just drank 1 liter water, and if you give me one more cup of water, will I be grateful? I can even see it as a botheration. Don't bother me. I'm full. But when I'm thirsty, last 2 hours, under sun, I'm very thirsty, I'm very desperate for water. Then you offer me a cup of water. I'll be very grateful to you. Generally, our gratitude towards another person depends on how desperate are we looking for that object which he has given us or she has given us, right? So, when we are needy, not greedy, but when we are needy for something, when we are in need of something and that need is fulfilled by someone, we are grateful to them. But when we don't need something, if people still offer it, we are not so grateful. Also, timing is important. When I'm really desperate for something and if someone helps me with the right object at the right time, in the right proportion, in the right way, then I can be grateful. But if same favors or same privileges or same help comes at a time where I don't need, I will not be grateful, right? But Krishna, is he in need of anything? Does he need anything at any time, under any circumstances from anyone in the entire cosmic manifestation? But still Krishna is grateful. Gratitude is not for the thing that you receive from others. Gratitude is for their emotion. They have some place in their hearts for me. They have some feelings, some appreciation, some concern for me. They love me. Therefore, I am grateful for that love. So, Krishna is grateful for the love more than the offering, more than the commodity or the thing that we offer him. Krishna is more pleased with our attitude more than gratitude, more than magnitude of our offerings. So, he is not in need of anything, but all he wants is our love, our affection. So, when somebody offers a tulsi leaf to Krishna or some Gangajal to Krishna, Krishna feels that this devotee paid proper price to me and purchased me. Now I am his property. So by offering some tulsi leaves, he has purchased me. I am his property now. That's how Krishna thinks. Aham bhakta paradhino hi asvatantra iva dvijaha. Paradhina, I am completely surrendered to this devotee because he surrendered to me. So Krishna gratefully remembers everything that we have done to him as a part of our service to him. Then he protects us when we are in need. So Gajendra was reminded of this prayer. There are so many prayers, we may not recite all the prayers. Initially, Gajendra describes some qualities of the Lord. If you have your phones or laptops or whatever, you can read 8th canto, 3rd chapter, shloka number 2 onwards. Gajendra's prayers will begin. We'll discuss some selected prayers only. First prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata Etacchidatmakam Purushayadi Bijaya Pareshaya Bhidhimahi. The initial few shlokas that Gajendra speaks are more in an Aishwarya flavor, where he glorifies the attributes of the Lord, opulences of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata Etacchidatmakam. O Lord, I offer my obeisances unto you. It is only because of you this entire world and cosmos is animate. Purushaya, you are the Supreme Person. Adi Bijaya, Adi means origin of everything, Bija means the seed of everything. Just like from seed only, entire tree manifests. All the flowers and fruits and leaves and twigs and stem and trunk, everything manifests from that seed. You are like that seed. This entire cosmic manifestation originated from you. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattaha sarvam pravartate. Right? So that's how everything manifested from you. Purushaya, Adi Bijaya. Pareshaya Bhidhimahi. Para Ishaya means you are the transcendental controller of everything. So in this way, Gajendra establishes the Lord's supremacy and says that when everything in the entire cosmos is completely smashed and annihilated and destroyed, you alone remain. You are transcendental to this birth and death in this material world. You are transcendental to the creation and destruction of this cosmos. When it's created, everything takes birth. When the universe is destroyed, everything it vanishes. But the Lord has neither birth nor death. He is not subjected to any creation or destruction. He is beyond the material modes. So his position is transcendental. So that is glorified. Later, Gajendra says that there are some people who take shelter of. I'll try to be as concise as possible. There are some people who take shelter of you with some material expectations, right? But there are people who are Nishkama Bhaktas. There are Sakama Bhaktas, there are Nishkama Bhaktas. So, Sakama Bhaktas remain Sakama Bhaktas only for some time. It's only a phase in their life. But Nishkama Bhaktas are those who worship you with absolutely no expectations in return. So initially Gajendra surrendered to the Lord with an expectation in return. I want something back. So that is the initial expectation of Gajendra. So if you see up to 15th shloka, Gajendra's prayers are more or less talking about the Lord's opulences and powers and his capabilities to protect someone. In the 15th shloka specifically, Gajendra said, he says, Namo Namaste Khilakaranaya. If you have phones, we can also recite. Namo Namaste Khilakaranaya Nishkaranaya Adbhutakaranaya Sarvagamamnaya Maharnavaya Namopavargaya Parayanaya Namo Namaste Akhila Karanaya. I offer my obeisances unto you because you are Akhila Karana. You are the cause of all causes. Right? Every cause originated from you, the original cause. But Nishkaranaya, you yourself don't have a cause. Nishkaranaya, Adbhuta Karanaya, therefore you are the wonderful cause. The wonderful cause that causes everything, but it itself does not have any cause. Therefore you are the wonderful cause. Then Gajendra says, Sarvagamamnaya Maharnavaya Namopavargaya Parayanaya Sarva Agama Amnaya. Krishna is compared with an ocean. All the various scriptural paths and spiritual paths, they are compared to different rivers. Just like rivers somehow manage to flow and reach the ocean. Similarly, all the spiritual paths ultimately culminate in Krishna. The destination or the goal of every single spiritual path is Krishna ultimately. How can you say that? What does it mean? You follow any path, you will reach Krishna. Is that the message here? He says, Sarvagamamnaya Maharnavaya. You are like that great ocean in which all rivers of spiritual paths culminate. Namopavargaya Parayanaya. And all people who are seeking liberation take shelter of you. That's what he says. Now let's analyze this statement made by Gajendra through a beautiful purport written by Prabhupada in the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam. You take a cup of milk and start approaching that milk with your 5 senses. You see the milk with your eyes. What realization do you get? It's a white substance, that's all. You are not bringing your ears or hands or any other senses in contact with the milk. This is the first time you are seeing. You see milk from a distance. It's a white substance, that's all. Then you hear about milk. You are not seeing it. You are not smelling it. You are not drinking it. You are just hearing it. Then you understand all different health benefits of milk, glories of milk. Then you bring your nose in contact with milk. You will only smell its fragrance. That's all. That's your realization. That's your understanding of milk. You put your hands, you touch milk with your hands. Then you will understand whether it is hot or cold. lukewarm, you will understand, that's all. You will also feel it's a liquid substance, it's not solid, it's wet, and it may be thick if it is condensed. That's all you will understand, nothing more. But if you bring your mouth in contact with milk, if you put it in your mouth, you will get the full benefit of milk. If you go to hotel, restaurant and order a cup of milk, if you see the milk, he will not give you bill. If you touch it, he may say, hey, don't touch it, but he will not give you milk. He will not give you bill. If you hear about it, how much is the milk? Doodh ka hai, a gai ka hai. So you just confirm whether it is cow milk or not. Just by inquiring, he will not give you bill. Then if you smell it also, he may not give you bill. But if you drink it, he will give you bill. Right? Because he understands only by drinking you have taken complete benefit of milk. Similarly, if you approach Krishna through Jnana path, you will realize him only as Brahman. If you approach Krishna through the yoga path, you will realize him only as Paramatma. But if you approach Krishna through the bhakti path, you will realize him as Bhagavan. Milk is white substance, which is correct. But is it complete realization of milk? If somebody asks you what is milk, if you just simply say, milk is white, does it complete the definition of milk or glories of milk, or is it a complete description of milk? No. Similarly, a Gnani will follow whatever he has to follow and he will ultimately attain Brahman realization. Did he attain Krishna? He attained Krishna only. What is Brahman? Krishna's effulgence. So he attained Krishna only ultimately. And similarly, yogi, he meditates. Ashtanga yoga he does. Say, assume that he attained Paramatma realization. Paramatma is Krishna only. But is Paramatma as complete as Krishna? It's a partial realization of the Lord. Just like bringing your other senses in contact with milk, you will only get partial realization or partial benefit of milk. Similarly, by following other paths which are not bhakti, you will only get partial understanding of the Lord. But when you drink milk, you will get full benefit of milk. Similarly, when you follow bhakti yoga, you will get full benefit of Krishna. You will understand Krishna completely. You will realize him completely. But whether you are following karma yoga or jnana yoga or dhyana yoga or bhakti yoga, you are ultimately approaching Krishna only. That's what Gajendra said. Sarvagamamnaya maharnavaya namopavargaya parayanaya. Whichever scriptural path, spiritual path you are following, you are ultimately attaining Krishna. But whether completely or partially depends on the flavor of your path, the nature of your path. So, Krishna is yathamam prapadyante. Even in bhakti path also, there are multiple ways in which people approach. Tamasic bhakti, rajasic bhakti, sattvic bhakti. That's one category. Or even in pure bhakti, prema bhakti, some people see Krishna as a child. Some people see Krishna as a friend. Some people see Krishna as a lover. Some people see Krishna as a master. Krishna will reciprocate with them accordingly. So, any bona fide path, spiritual path will take us to Krishna. But how much, what part of Krishna are we approaching depends on what path are we following. How much are we realizing Krishna? That depends on which path we are approaching. So, Gajendra said this, 15th shloka. Then, Gunaranicchanna chidusmapaya tatkshobha vispurjita manasaya naishkarmya bhavena vivarjitagama swayam prakashaya namaskaromi. Gunaranicchanna chidusmapaya. Just like fire is there in wood, but it's not visible. You have to kindle that fire. Put some matchstick, put some petrol, put some kerosene, put some oil, put some ghee, and then kindle that fire. And depending on the nature of wood, fire manifests in different ways. Sometimes wood has some kind of hollows inside. When the wood is burning, you will hear some sounds, right? I used to hear that. When my mother is cooking with these wooden pieces in our childhood, in that chula, then I used to hear some sounds. I would ask mother, why this sound is coming? Why fire is coming like this? As if somebody is like, what is that? Putting a syringe, not with water but with fire. Why this sound is coming? There are some gaps there in the wood. That's why there is some fire coming. Some sound coming. with force. And sometimes you see cow dung cakes. When you burn cow dung cakes, that will produce a different kind of ash. The fire will take up different shape. Similarly, the Lord is present in every living entity. Just like fire is present in every wood, fire element is there, you kindle it and it will come out in different shapes, different shapes of flames. Similarly, the Lord is present in every living entity. You need to kindle the presence of the Lord for the Lord to manifest in the life of that person. Not only devotee, for every single living entity. But the Lord will manifest in the life of that living entity depending on what kind of scriptural path or spiritual path that living entity is following. That's why Gunarani Channa Chidusmapaya Tat Kshobha Vispurjita Manasaya. But the best path is Naishkarmya Bhavena Vivarjita Gama Swayam Prakashaya Namaskaromi. But the best path is, although the Lord can manifest differently to different people, the best path is Bhakti. Is it getting too technical? No. Gajendra's prayers are somewhat technical. It will become emotional after some time. We are just transiting. I kind of summarized the philosophical part of it. I will come to the emotional part of it very soon. We are making the transition. We are in 16th sloka. After chanting 16 rounds, so we will enter the 17th one, which is more emotional. So in this sloka, Gunarani-channa chidusmapaya tat-kshobha vispurjita manasaya naishkarmya bhavena vivarjita gama swayam prakashaya namaskaromi. In the second half of this shloka, he is saying, first half we discussed already, that wood and fire. Second half he says, naishkarmya bhavena. Karma is action, fruitive action. With an expectation of some fruitive result, you perform an action. Or with an expectation of some kind of benediction or boon or some kind of incentives from the Lord, you worship Him, you break a coconut in front of His temple, you do 11 pradakshinas, or you offer some bananas, you do some vrata, you do some homa, yajna, tapa, with some expectation. That is called sakama bhakti. But Gajendra says, not sakama bhakti, naishkarmya bhavena. Naishkarmya means with absolutely no expectation of any results, you perform bhakti unto Krishna. That is called nishkama bhakti, naishkarmya bhava. Naishkarmya mapyachyuta bhava varjitam nashobhate gnanamalam niranjanam. In the first canto, 5th chapter, Narada Muni says, Naishkarmya mapi achyuta bhava varjitam. Although you are detached, although you have a mood of detachment, but if there is no achyuta bhava, if there is no devotion unto Krishna, you only have detachment but you have no devotion, then it will not shine. Achyuta bhava varjitam na shobhate. It doesn't shine. So along with detachment, you should also have devotion. Only detachment is not sufficient. It's great, but along with detachment from material things, you should have attachment to spiritual things. Then it is complete. So Gajendra is speaking about that naishkarmya which is accompanied with devotion. Naishkarmya bhavena, with that selfless devotion to Krishna. He says, next phrase, Vivarjita gama. Vivarjita means give up, relinquish, keep them aside. What has to be kept aside? Agama. Agama means scriptures. Earlier he said, all scriptural paths lead to you, Krishna. Now he says, give up scriptures. Just have naishkarmya bhava. Just have selfless, unmotivated, unflinching devotion to Krishna. If you have it, even if you don't follow scriptures, Krishna will bless you. He's not minimizing scriptures. Point is, there are some pure devotees who have naishkarmya bhava, but they are above all the scriptural rules and regulations, scriptural prescriptions and prohibitions. They have transcended this Vaidhi stage. They have developed that bhava, unmotivated bhava unto Krishna. Naishkarmya bhavena vivarjita gama. For such devotees, swayam prakashaya, Krishna will reveal himself on his own. Namaskaromi, I offer my obeisances unto you. Is it clear? The shloka is clear? Tell me, what did you understand? I am getting into Vidyapita mode now. Anyone would like to explain what we discussed in this shloka? Little complicated shloka. You already spoke. Anyone who has been silent? Yes, Mataji.
Nishkam Bhakti.
Huh?
Nishkam Bhakti.
Fine. I want a little deeper explanation. You raised your hand, right?
So it would be who was surrendered up to Krishna and he doesn't have to follow all the rules because Krishna has accepted him as his own. He is more pure than pure.
Correct.
He is doing anything with Niskam.
So they have Naishkarmya Bhava, they have complete dedication to the Lord, they transcend scriptural rules and regulations, right? But we cannot imitate them. That's an important point. Sometimes we may think, I'm not inclined to follow scriptural rules and regulations. Am I on that platform of Naishkarmya Bhava? And Krishna will do Swayam Prakasha for me? Swayam Prakashaya? No. Now, let's enter the emotions of Gajendra. The next shloka, Gajendra says, Madrik prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya Madrik prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya Muktaya bhuri karunaya namolayaya Swamshena sarvatanubhrinmanasi pratita Pratyagdrishe bhagavate brihate namaste Madrik prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya. This important shloka, even if you have understood or not understood all the shlokas so far, this let's focus. Madrik means people like me. Not me, Gajendra. Madrik. Prapanna means surrendered. So people like me who surrender unto you. So that's how Gajendra began the shloka. Madrik Prapanna. Gajendra also says, Pashu. Animalistic people like me who surrender unto you. Animals like me who surrender unto you. Madrik Prapanna Pashu. When we hear this statement, we may think, oh, this is for Pashus, not for me. I mean, Manushya, not Pashu. Please don't get offended. I'm repeating Prabhupada's statement. Prabhupada says, don't think that it is Gajendra's prayer. Gajendra is Pashu, animal. But all of us are also animals. Anyone who is under the influence of the material modes is an animal. So you don't have to feel little uncomfortable reciting this prayer. In fact, you have to recite this prayer more than all other prayers. This is the most important prayer in Gajendra's prayers. Madrik Prapanna Pashu. Pashus like me, animals like me who surrender unto you. You will reciprocate unto them. So what is your reciprocation towards animalistic people who surrender unto you? Madrik Prapanna Pashupasha Vimokshanaya. Vimokshana, you liberate them from their bondage. Because this Pashu is in Pasha. Many Pashus, domestic animals, are tied by their masters. Although Gajendra was not a domestic animal, he is tied by, or he is caught by crocodile's jaws. Similarly, all conditioned souls are also caught up in the jaws of the crocodile of three material modes. Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun is binding them. You may think that Sattvagun people are very good, right? No. Sattvagun people are also in bondage. Sattvagun people are not beyond bondage. You want proof? Go to Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakamanāmayam sukha sangyena badhanati sukha sangyena badhanati gnana sangyena chanagha. So people in mode of goodness are bound. They are arrested by what? Sukha and gnana. They are attached to knowledge and enjoyment, happiness. They are bound by that. And the lower mode people, Rajogun, Tamogun people are bound by something else. much more deeper bondage, tighter bondage. But anyone who is under the influence of material modes, Triguna, Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun, they are under bondage. And if such people surrender unto Krishna, then Vimokshanaya, Krishna will release them from bondage. Clear? First line. Madrik Prapanna Pashupasha Vimokshanaya. Where did Krishna promise that if you surrender unto me, I will release you from three modes? No, someone said it. No. दैवी हि एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायाम् एतां तरन्ति ते. Daivi hi esha gunamayi. This maya is filled with three modes. Duratya, it's very difficult to surpass. But mamevaya prapadyanti, if you surrender unto me, then maya metam tarantiti. I will release you from maya. Same thing Gajendra is saying. Whatever Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Gajendra is saying now. Madruk prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya. Second line. Why does he do vimokshan? Why does he bestow liberation? Why does he release us from this bondage of material modes? Because he has three qualities that we discussed in the morning. What are they? Muktaya bhuri karunaya namolayaya. Muktaya, because he himself is never bound. He is ever liberated. Right? If I am bound, I cannot release you from bondage. If I am not bound, then I can release you from bondage. So the first quality required for a liberator, first quality required in a person who can liberate others from bondage is a capacity to liberate, ability to liberate. So that Muktaya word indicates ability of Krishna. Muktaya. Second, Bhuri Karunaya. He may have the ability to liberate us. He is capable of doing it. But if he does not have compassion, if he is not kind enough, then he will not liberate. He will see, I have capacity but I will not help you. So, second quality is Bhuri Karunaya. He is extremely compassionate, not just compassionate, he is extremely compassionate. Muktaya Bhuri Karunaya Namolayaya. So just having capacity and compassion is not sufficient. Alayaya. He should have cognizance. What is alayaya? It means the Lord is always attentive to the needs of his devotees. Whatever the devotee needs, the Lord will understand automatically. Oh, my devotee needs this. Our needs, our moods and our deeds are fully understood by Krishna. How many people felt that we have been misunderstood by others in life? But Krishna will never misunderstand us. On the first day we discussed, right? Akrura was coming as the representative of Kamsa. But Akrura was completely confident that although I am coming here as a representative of Krishna, Krishna will never misunderstand me. The whole world can misunderstand us, but Krishna will never misunderstand us. Because Krishna knows completely our moods and needs and deeds. But they should also give us a caution note. How many people have done some mistakes? You don't have to tell. How many of us have done some mistakes? But those mistakes are not revealed to anyone. People are thinking that we are good. People still externally think that we are good. Don't be happy. Krishna knows all those mistakes we have done. Just like our good qualities are known to Krishna, although not recognized by people in this world, our bad qualities and bad attitudes are also recognized by Krishna, although they are not recognized by people in this world. No good thought or bad thought, no good deed or bad deed is left unnoticed. Krishna is noticing everything. That should give us a sense of hope and also a caution note. Hope and caution. We need to take both. Knowing this word alayaya. Muktaya bhuri karunaya namolayaya. Three words we have seen. But how does Krishna know everything about me? How does Krishna become aware of all my moods and needs and deeds? Answer is given in the second half of the shloka. Swamshena sarvatanu bhrinmanasi pratita pratyagdrishe bhagavate brihate namaste. Swamshena, with his own expansion, with this little amsha. Sarvatanu bhrin means Krishna enters into the bodies of all embodied living entities. Manasi pratita, he stays within the hearts of all living entities. As super soul, as Paramatma, he is present in everybody's hearts, thus he knows all our emotions, all our feelings, all our thoughts, all our desires, all our moods, all our attitudes and activities and plans. He knows everything. Even we forget, he remembers it. Every single thought that passes through our mind is registered by Krishna, whether it is good or bad. Thus, when a devotee is genuinely, desperately in some need, Krishna knows and he has intention to help us. He immediately comes to help us. That's what Gajendra is saying. Nobody is helping me. All these elephants are just crying there, sitting on the shore. And all the devatas, what are they doing? They are just watching. Gajendra never called us. Let's continue to watch the match. The match in the Srikuta Mountain Stadium happening between a crocodile and a powerful elephant for 1,000 years match. They are just watching. They are watching the fun. Nobody is coming to help Gajendra in any way. They have capacity. They have no compassion. And these people have compassion. Elephants, they don't have capacity. Someone who has both, someone who has all three should come. And that is Gajendra's prayer. Please come, O Lord. So at this moment, Gajendra underwent a transformation in consciousness. I am praying to the Lord to release me from this bondage. So far, Gajendra offered so many prayers praising Krishna's opulences and powers and grandeur and majesty. At this moment, Gajendra became emotional and offering this prayer, please protect me, Lord. You only have the capacity. But later Gajendra contemplated, I am approaching such a powerful Lord for this small thing. You go to the king and king says, whatever you want, take from me. And if you say, I want 2 dosas for my breakfast, it's not a very big thing. Those who are working in CSR and fundraising, if a multimillionaire says, what do you want for your temple? If this fundraiser says, no, we just want 10 rupees donation, sufficient. That's not a very intelligent proposal. Similarly, Gajendra also thought, such a powerful Lord. I am asking for liberation from this crocodile. He can do many things. Vimokshanaya is not just releasing from the crocodile's jaws. Real Vimokshana is to release everyone from their ignorance and false ego. That's a real release that we want. The real release is not release from some fever or cold or cough or some loose motions or COVID or even crocodile's jaws. The real release is release from ignorance, release from false ego. So Gajendra is slowly making a transition into that prayer. At this moment, Gajendra spoke a little bit about Sakama Bhaktas. Oh, people are approaching you to release themselves from their distress. I will not speak that shloka. But what Gajendra spoke about Nishkama Bhaktas, we need to speak now. Very, very interesting. Ekantino yasya na kanchanartham. Recite somewhere in 20th shloka, I think. Ekantino yasya na kanchanartham. Ekantino yasya na kanchanartham. Vanchanti evai bhagavat prapanna. Atyadbhutam taccharitam sumangalam. Gayanta ananda samudramagna. Ekantino means one-pointed devotees. If you remember, right on the first day in our first class, we discussed the glory of coming to Vrindavan. What do we get in Vrindavan? Ekanta Bhava. Sri Krishna Ekanta Bhavam Kvanu Sakala Jano Vashyamapnotya Yatnat Krishnasyāscharya Sīma Parama Bhagavataha Kutra Leelarthamurtehe Kutratya Krishna Padam Bhuja Bhajana Mahananda Samrajya Kashtha Bhratar Vakshye Rahasyam Srunu Sakalamidam Srila Vrindavanitra. Sri Krishnasya Ekanta Bhavam. That one-pointed devotion to Krishna is available in Vrindavan. And what are the qualities of those devotees who have that one-pointed devotion? Ekanta Bhavam, Gajendra says. Ekantino yasya na kanchanartham. Na kanchanartham vanchanti. They don't desire anything material. All they desire is only love for Krishna. Ekantino yasya na kanchanartham vanchanti. Why? Vanchanti evai bhagavat prapanna. Because they are completely surrendered unto Krishna, they don't want anything else. Because Sharanagati or complete surrender unto Krishna will give you everything, and By any other process, you cannot get things that you can get by surrendering unto Krishna. Yesterday, at this Govardhan Valley, we were discussing about that conversation between Krishna and the gopis of Vrindavan. Gopis gave 3 options. Krishna said none of the above. He presented a 4th option. And finally he said not even 4th option, 5th option. What is that? I cannot repay you. Naparayeham, right? But there is another statement Krishna made after Naparayeham. I cannot repay you. I am so indebted to you that all my bank balance cannot even pay interest for all the service that you have done to me. I cannot repay you. May you be satisfied with your own loving, selfless, unmotivated devotional service unto me. Beyond this satisfaction of selfless service unto Krishna, even I don't have anything to offer you. So this is the glory of selfless service. Even Krishna feels so bankrupt, even Krishna feels so incapable of offering us anything beyond the satisfaction of selfless service unto Him. When we selflessly serve Krishna with absolutely no expectations in return, that ahituki bhakti completely satisfies our heart with spiritual bliss, that beyond this bliss, beyond this satisfaction, even Krishna does not have anything else to offer us. What does it mean? The highest benediction, the highest happiness, the greatest pleasure that a soul can derive in the entire cosmos since time immemorial and for the rest of eternity is the bliss of selfless service to Krishna. Even Krishna doesn't have anything beyond this. All his chintamani, stones or his gold or Vaikuntha airplanes, all these are not as valuable as the happiness of selflessly serving him. And this happiness is the eternal property of all the Vrajavasis, especially the gopis of Vrindavan. Therefore, ekantino yasya na kanchanartham vanchanti yevai bhagavat prapannaha. So where else do they derive this happiness? If Krishna is not giving anything, they have to derive happiness in their own bhakti. What aspect of bhakti gives them great happiness and great bliss? Gajendra clarifies in the next 2 lines of the shloka. Atyadbhutam tacharitam sumangalam gayanta ananda samudra magna. Ati adbhutam means extremely wonderful. What is extremely wonderful? Tacharitam, Krishna's pastimes. Sumangalam, extremely auspicious. The most auspicious and extremely wonderful pastimes of Krishna and discussion on those pastimes of Krishna will nourish the hearts of the devotees, that beyond this they don't want anything else. Atyadbhutam tacharitam sumangalam gayanta ananda samudra magna. Gayanta, they just glorify this blissful pastimes of the Lord, and they're ananda samudra magna, they're immersed in an ocean of condensed bliss. So, coming together and discussing Krishna Katha like this is the greatest bliss. Beyond this, there is no other bliss in life. Come together, chant the holy names of the Lord, discuss Krishna's pastimes, derive bliss. Beyond this, Krishna doesn't have anything else to give us. Do you think Krishna will give you something more than this? No. This is ultimate. We may not be able to relish it completely with a heart which is still affected with some anarthas and aparats. We may not be able to completely access that pleasure, experience that pleasure, although we are there, right there. It's okay. It takes some time. Let's continue this process. To develop taste for hearing, continue to hear. To develop taste for chanting, continue to chant. So, in the mode of a servant of Krishna, if we dedicate our body, mind and words to the process of Shravanam, hearing Krishna Katha, that gives us the highest bliss. Beyond this, there is no other bliss. The bliss of Krishna Katha is what is being aspired for by so many great souls, whether it is Lord Shiva in the Rudra Gita, or Kunti Maharani in her prayers, or Prachetas in their prayers, or Dhruva Maharaj in his prayers, or Prahlad Maharaj in his prayers, all of them are aspiring for an opportunity to associate with devotees and discuss Harikatha in that association. Prahlad Maharaj said, Naivo dvije para duratyaya vaitaranyah twadvirya gayana maha amrita magna chittaha. Twadvirya gayana maha amrita magna chittaha. My mind is totally immersed in the glorification of your pastimes, your qualities. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. There is no happiness beyond this. And that's what is happening in Vrindavan constantly. Two gopis come together and discuss Krishna's stealing pastimes. Two gopas come together and discuss Krishna's naughty activities. When two are not there, only one is there, they are meditating on Krishna's pastimes. Or sometimes they gather in groups, two gopis come and they glorify Krishna's flute song. So they are totally immersed in glorifying Krishna constantly. Even a casual conversation in Vrindavan, even gossip or prajalpa in Vrindavan is Harikatha, pure Krishna Katha. Right? Gramya Katha we say, right? Vrindavan is a grama, a small village. The Gramya Katha in Vrindavan Dham is Harikatha, is Krishna Katha, pure Krishna Katha, done with pure love. Yatredyante katha vrishtaha trishnayaha prashamo yatha. Yatra idyante katha vrishtaha. Wherever devotees gather together and discuss Harikatha and nourish themselves with Katha, pure Krishna Katha. Trishnayaha prashamo yataha. All Trishnas, all our material hankerings are completely vanquished. Nirvairam yatra bhuteshu nodvego yatra kaschana. There is no enmity. Our enmity is completely washed away. If we are still feeling envious of another devotee, even after practicing bhakti, doing some Shravanam and Kirtanam for a while, for a decade or two, we need to understand we have not sufficiently nourished ourselves with Krishna Katha. One who can really taste Krishna Katha cannot host envy in the heart, even at sadhaka platform. If there is envy towards another devotee, means the nectar of Krishna Katha has not entered our hearts sufficiently. Nirvairam yatra bhuteshu na udvego yatra kaschana. No udvega, no anxieties or fears also. Then yatra Narayana sakshat, wherever we are discussing Krishna Katha, Lord Narayana is personally present there. Just imagine, on the first day, we were discussing with Maharaj on Saturday. Maharaj said, whenever I give class, I have two members in the class who are definitely hearing me, and seeing that they are present, I become very enthusiastic in speaking Krishna Katha. Who are those two? One is Srila Prabhupada, second is Krishna. Maharaj was saying like this. Because Krishna is there, Prabhupada is there. Guru is there, Krishna is there. When they are there, you enthusiastically speak Harikatha. Others, whoever happens to be there will be there. Whether there are 1,000 people or 100 people or 10 people or 1 person or 10,000 persons. Krishna and Prabhupada are sitting there. So, Yatra Narayana Sakshat. And even Lord Narayana himself said to Narada Muni, he said, Naham tishtami vaikunthe sadhunam hridayeshu va yatra gayanti mad bhaktaha tatra tishtami Narada. I don't sit in Vaikuntha. I don't sit in the hearts of yogis. I sit in a place where devotees are coming together and discussing Krishna Katha without any ulterior motives, without any selfish agendas. They are sitting only to purely glorify Krishna. That's all. If you have any other agenda in doing Krishna Katha also, that doesn't completely please Krishna. Yes, some purification happens. But if you are sitting to discuss Harikatha only to glorify Krishna, no other agenda, whether it is money or name or fame or prestige or whatever it is, if other agendas are not there, Krishna will be pleased. Teaching is a Brahmanical activity. But if the teaching is done to gain control over people, it's a Brahmanical activity done with a Kshatriya spirit. If the teaching is done to earn money, that's a Brahmanical activity done with Vaishya spirit. Right? So, in this material world, nothing is pure. Everything is tinged with other modes. You operate in one mode, some tinges of other modes also come there. But Krishna Katha is an activity which is above all these modes. So to access that purity of that Hari Katha, we need to have pure intention. What is that pure intention? No selfish motive. Nothing for me, only for Krishna. I am here to glorify Krishna, that's all. And by glorification of Krishna, there is purification of my heart. That's the thing. So Gajendra said this Ekantino Yasana Kanchanartham. And after that there are some 4-5 shlokas where Gajendra said, "Oh Lord, even if you protect me from the jaws of this crocodile, I don't wish to continue to live in this animal body, elephant body, filled with ignorance. Body is big, but it's ignorance only. The real release I want is release from this ignorance, release from this false ego, not just release from this crocodile." See, even within this 25, 28 prayers only, Gajendra made a transition. Initially he said something, you are so glorious, you are powerful, you are this, you are that, you are that. You are opulent, you are grand, you are this, you are that. Then, please protect me. Why am I asking for protection if you are so great? I should ask for a bigger protection, not just protection from this crocodile. I should aspire for protection from false ego, from ignorance. Finally he concluded his prayer. All the devatas were thinking, oh, this elephant is praying and he's not calling us. And at one point, Gajendra also makes a point. Oh Lord, who is the source of so many minor gods? You are the supreme God, who is the master of some minor gods, smaller gods. I want a supreme God, I want a big boss, not the smaller bosses. Then Devatas got offended. Gajendra is praying to him and then he's calling us minor gods, minor Devatas. We will not go. And he will not come anyways. Lord Hari is not so easy to get pleased, so he will not come so easily and this animal will die. This is what all the Devatas were thinking. To think that Krishna will not protect his devotees is a great offense. Even to think that Krishna doesn't give shelter to someone who is surrendered unto him is the greatest offense. To bhakti, to the process of bhakti and to Krishna also. The Devatas have done that offense. The Devatas have committed that offense. But fortunately, they realized that offense very soon. Why? Gajendra offered these prayers. 1,000 years of struggle, but prayers are only few minutes. So, in these few minutes of prayers offered by Gajendra, these Devatas are having this kind of thoughts and emotions. Suddenly, as they were thinking like that, they saw Lord Vishnu very hastily is descending on the back of Garuda. He is in so great haste. And it's very clear that Vishnu is rushing towards Gajendra with his 4 hands and with his Sudarshan Chakra, and Garuda is also rushing. And all the Devatas saw from their respective planets that Vishnu is going. We thought he will never go. We have made an offense. So let us also go behind him to offer prayers to him so that our offense is nullified. They are here flying on their respective carriers, whether it is bull carrier or swan carrier or elephant carrier, Airavat carrier, they are all coming behind Krishna, behind Lord Narayana, Lord Hari. Just to save one elephant in the Trikota mountain region, Lord Vishnu came, Brahma came, Shiva came, and Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, all these people are coming there. And Vishnu is being glorified by all these Devatas. Devatas are offering prayers to Lord Vishnu while they are descending along with the Lord. The Lord is not ignoring. The Lord is ignoring all those prayers. He is not even paying any heed to their prayers. They are doing some reverential prayers. Oh Krishna, you are like this, you are like that, we have committed a mistake. I am not here to hear your prayers. I am very busy I am in a great emergency situation. My dear devotee Gajendra is an emergency situation. To protect Gajendra is my priority, not to hear your apologies. Right? So all the devatas are just running behind the Lord, and the Lord is focusing on how to save Gajendra. So this is the situation there. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Divyaistahi. Brahma, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, Shiva, Manus, Prajapatis, all of them are just offering prayers to the Lord. The Lord doesn't have time. The Lord does not pay attention to them. Why Gajendra is in crisis? Because Gajendra's prayer is a helpless prayer, a prayer of dependence, prayer of Sharanagati. But their prayers are prayers of apologies. Of course, that is a good prayer, but they have committed an offense towards Lord. Gajendra did not. The Lord is in a greater emergency to respond to Gajendra's prayers and did not have much bandwidth to respond to their prayers. So they came in an apologetic mood. This is how we also need to pray. Morning we were discussing one prayer which we could not elaborate. Samsarambhasi sambhruta brahma bhare gambhirata patraya grahena bhigrihita mugra gatina kroshantam antarbhayat diptrenadya sudarshanena vibudha klantichhida karina Chinta santati ruddha muddhara hare macchitta dhantishwaram samsarambhasi sambhurta brahma bhare. Samsara ambhasi. Samsara is this material existence. Ambhasi means ocean. Samsarambhasi sambhurta brahma bhare. This material ocean is filled with so many illusions and bewilderments and confusions and temptations. That's the nature of this material ocean. Gambhirata patraya. Facing this tapatrayas in this material ocean is very gambhira, very grave situation we are in. A conditioned soul may not realize it. Gambhirata patraya. Already being in a material ocean itself is a very awkward and humiliating and dangerous situation. And on top of it, being tossed by the waves of the three material modes is even more austere. And on top of it, this crocodile caught me. Grahena abhigrihita mugra gatina. Grahena abhigrihitam. This graha, this crocodile has caught my foot, not for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, for 1,000 years. Abhigrihitam ugragatina. Ugragata means very intensely. It created a very, very fierce and panic and emergency situation. Grahena abhigrihitam ugragatina. In such situation, you know what am I undergoing? Akroshantam antarbhayat. Akroshantam means I'm crying within. Antarbhayat, my heart is filled with terror and fear and anxiety, helplessness. Kroshantam antarbhayat. Deeptrena adya sudarshanena vibudha. In such a predicament, I am taking your shelter, O Lord. Deeptrena, your effulgent Sudarshan Chakra you must release. What is the track record of that Sudarshan Chakra? Deeptrena adya sudarshanena vibudha klantichhida karina. Vibudha klantichhida karina means this Sudarshan Chakra had the track record of destroying the distresses of even great devatas also. That is the power. Can't it destroy the distress of a small elephant? Please release that Sudarshan Chakra, O Lord. We need to pray like that. But who is Gajendra in this sloka? Not Gajendra. The mind. Chinta santati ruddha muddhara hare macchitta dantishwaram. Macchitta, my mind is the dantishwaram. Dantishwara. Ishwara means controller, king. Danti means elephant. Right? This elephant who has this big tusks. So he is Danti. And because he is the king, he is called Ishvara. So Dantishvara basically is Gajendra. But he says, Macchitta Dantishvara, my mind is like that Gajendra. And this mind is caught up in this samsarambhasi. My mind is caught up in this material ocean. And the crocodiles and sharks of distractions and temptations and allurements and material emotions and material attachments are just overwhelming me. I'm just crying within. Chinta santati, I'm constantly in anxiety. Ruddha muddhara hare, Hari, do some uddhar. Uddhar means deliver me, protect me, uplift me. Chinta santati ruddha muddhara hare, macchitta dhantishwaram. This is how a devotee prays. Macchitta dhantishwaram. So, Gajendra is very helpless. And in such a state of existence, he was inspired by the Lord to take his shelter, and the Lord came and released his Sudarshan Chakra and cut that head of that crocodile. And by his divine touch of his hand, he just pulled Gajendra from the water. And by the touch of the Lord, Gajendra got Sarupi Mukti. Immediately, an effulgent form like Vishnu Duta, Gajendra received that brilliant form. This is how the Lord protected Gajendra. And this is how we need to express our dependence on the Lord in the mode of Sharanagati, in the mode of Draupadi, in the mode of Gajendra. Actually, to adopt this mode is very difficult for a conditioned soul who is absorbed in so many material pleasures and pains. But one very, very effective way of slowly entering that mood is to repeatedly discuss these pastimes like this. By repeatedly discussing and hearing about Gajendra, we become like Gajendra. By repeatedly discussing the qualities of Ambarish Maharaj, we become like Ambarish Maharaj. Not that we want to imitate them, but we imbibe their qualities. By repeatedly discussing the glories of Prahlad Maharaj or Dhruva Maharaj, we imbibe their qualities, their personality traits. We think like them, we speak like them, we pray like them, we depend on Krishna like them. Therefore, regular discussion is important. All of you must have heard Gajendra's pastime, or you must have spoken Gajendra's pastime also. I also heard, I also spoke hundreds of times, but every time we discuss this pastime, this or any other pastime from Bhagavatam, that's an opportunity for us to imbibe their mood. One more attempt. I read it earlier, I understood the story, I could remember the story, but did I actually enter the mood of Gajendra? No. Let me discuss it again. Let me hear it again. So by hearing it again, we come 1 inch closer to that mood. By hearing it once again, just little more, 1 centimeter closer. By hearing 1,000 times, we'll come little more closer to that mood. That's why discussing Krishna Katha is not just an attempt to accumulate more and more information. Last 4 days we have been discussing many things. Nothing is new. I did not speak anything new. Everything is present in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavatam, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and most of us are aware of all this also. But this repeated discussion in a holy dham like this, in the association of so many devotees, will help us embrace their mood, embrace the mood of... we discussed primarily about 4 devotees, Akrura, Dhruva Maharaj, and Uddhava, and Gajendra, and few other personalities, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, many other devotees, but primarily these 4 episodes from Bhagavatam. So we can enter their mood. We can imbibe their mood slowly. It'll come very slowly. It can come fast also, if you are very eager. But if you are little less eager, then it will come slowly. Right? Basically, we can imbibe these moods to the degree we are enthusiastic to hear repeatedly, discuss repeatedly, meditate on them repeatedly, reflect on them repeatedly. These are a few thoughts on Gajendra pastime. There is no end to it, but I'll end now. Next half an hour we can discuss some. Any questions, comments? Hare Krishna.